sure, chat, if the thread from Madison came out before this video or after this video. I'm pretty sure it came out before. Was it after? I'm not sure I remember. It was after the response video. Okay. So well, let's watch the response video and then we'll go through the thread. I think it was like 4 or 5 hours before. They don't address it in this video. Okay. So let's see this.
I think Luke put it best at the roast a few years ago when he said,
"Why the f are you here?"
That's a two-part answer. I'm speaking today because of the recent community outcry demanding change. I'm here because I agree with the community. We do have a lot of work to do. Before we talk about that, while I wish us on better terms, I just want to say I'm very glad to meet you all. I have spent the last couple of decades on the corporate side, but my educational background is in computer science. My first role in the tech industry was as the writer at Needseeker. My history building gaming PCs goes even further back to when I built a Celeron 300A rig because everyone assured me it was guaranteed to overclock to 450 megahertz.
Did they think this was a good idea to just put like a teleprompter in front of this guy? What? I want to know who made the decision to put the CEO in a seat where he's very clearly reading off of a teleprompter with like no, like why wouldn't they have just like a PR manager that would come up and talk about this? Like, this is not good. This dude just looks like he speaks in corpo jargon. I don't know how they do. Why would they do this?
I guess my trip didn't really get the memo. In any case, it feels really good to be back on most days. I'm only 6 weeks into the job, but in that time I've seen a lot. I've looked at some budgeting, some team building, and operations. But my main focus has been to be a fly on the wall and gain an understanding of what's going right and what's going wrong. There's a lot of both. I've asked the team to unflinchingly...
I feel bad for him because it's one of the worst times to become a CEO, yeah. I think 2020 was when that started. It completely turned me off from those channels. Understandably. It's so corporate to have a PR manager. Might as well have the CEO. Well, the PR manager would hopefully be a little bit more like relatable and wouldn't come off like, you know, a bot.
Address both the concerns that have been raised and how we intend to fix them with the money we'll make.
Linus with ukulele when.
Soon. Look, even the bot agrees with me that it should be pronounced Linus. Relativistic, thank you so much for the 13 months.
From our sponsor.
Just kidding. I was asked for unflinching, and here it is. Linus is a human gas molecule. You've been telling him for years, and I've been telling him for years. Staying relevant on YouTube is hard for everyone, but we aren't fighting for survival anymore, and we don't need to run at this pace. In fact, in some ways, it's our efforts to keep doing more and keep doing better that have created our current situation.
Am I too Page? What did she mean he's a human gas molecule? What did that is? Can someone explain it to me? Does it just mean that he's pooters? This is also apparently his wife, and it was the HR person at the time where Madison was hired. He's always moving. He farts a lot. Jimmy Neutron ass way of calling someone dumb. Oh. Okay. It was an attempt to be funny. Okay.
My background is in managing a pharmacy, where the small details matter a lot. And basically, I agree with the community, so I'm putting my foot down. Effective immediately, all YouTube video production is on pause. And our teams are going to be spending this entire next week focusing on long-term workflow changes to make our content better in a lasting way. This means for the first time in over 12 years, LTT will be missing not just one daily upload, but many. But improving to the degree that we want and need is going to take more than a week. So I'll be working with Taryn and Colton to manage our sponsor commitments and the financial hit of both this.
For the record, this was their second response. Their first response was a very ill-advised forum post. Oh God, wait, was it this one?
Team works on a union, vote Lucid Soy.
Thank you so much for the 27 months, Just Belmont. Not the daily uploads. No, what are we going to do without the daily uploads. No. This was the original response? Is this it? Uh-oh. Mucho texto. Oh, it's gonna be bad. I just know. There won't be a big WAN show segment about this or anything. Most of what I have to say, I've already said, and I've done so privately. To Steve, I've expressed my disappointment that he didn't go through the proper journalistic practices in creating this piece. He has my email and my number, along with numerous other members of our team. He could have asked me for context that may have proven to be valuable, like the fact that we didn't sell the monoblock, but rather auctioned it for charity due to a miscommunication, and the fact that we haven't sent payment yet. We've already agreed to compensate Billet Labs for the cost of their prototype. There are other issues, but I've told him that I won't be drawn into a public sniping match over this, and that I'll be continuing to move forward in good faith as part of the team media. When and if he's ready to do so, again, I'll be ready. My brother in Christ. Even if you were auctioning it for charity, it doesn't change the fact that the company only had one prototype and now they don't have it anymore. Like, the bigger issue is that they needed it back. And it wasn't yours to sell. Yeah. It wasn't yours to give away, whether or not it was for charity. Steve did another follow-up to this, proving that Linus also is lying about the timeline for when he contacted Billet and agreed to payment. Another point, will they edit the videos or put an asterisk to the title? It's a good question. They didn't even record who bought it, by the way. Lord Almighty. They had more than one prototype. It's just that that was their best one. Excuse me. You are correct. You're correct. To my team and my CEO's team, but realistically, I was at the helm for all these errors, so I need to own it. I stress the importance of diligence in our work because there are so many eyes on us. We are going through some growing pains, and we've been very public about them in the interest of transparency. And it's clear we have some work to do on internal processes and communication. We've already been doing a lot of work internally to clean up our processes, but these things take time. Rome wasn't built in a day, but that's no excuse for sloppiness. Now, for my community, all I can say is the same things I always say. We know that we're not perfect. We wear our imperfection on our sleeves in the interest of ensuring that we stay accountable to you. But it's sad and unfortunate when this transparency gets warped into a bad thing. The labs team is hard at work creating processes and tools to generate data that will benefit all customers, a work in progress that is very much not done, and we've communicated needs to be treated as such. And that we've communicated, excuse me. Okay, this guy uses processes the way that Train uses systems, man. Lord in heaven. Do we have notes under some videos? Yes, it's because we are striving for transparency and improvement. Yeah, what we're doing hasn't been in many years, if ever, and we would make a much larger correction if the circumstances merited it. Listed the wrong amount of cash on a table for a CPU review is sloppy, but given that our conclusions are drawn based on our testing, not the spec sheet, it doesn't materially change the recommendation. That doesn't mean that these things don't matter. We've set KPIs for our writing labs team around accuracy, and we are continually installing new checks and balances to ensure that things continue to get better. If you haven't seen the improvement, frankly, I wonder if you're really looking for it. The thoroughness that we managed on our last handful of GPU videos is getting really incredible given the limited time we have for those embargoes. I'm really excited about what the future will hold. Jesus, PR Christ. Oh my God. Oh. How are they not being sued into oblivion for all this shit? Good question. I love when people equate building an entire civilization to having a functional company. Yeah.
The entire apology is deflecting gaslighting. We're just human isn't an excuse for constant and purposeful irresponsibility.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, guys, we can't help it. Okay, we were doing our best. Please don't be mad. Please. Please don't be upset at us. Also, I'm sorry, the irony of using the quote, Rome wasn't built in a day, and forgetting the second half of the quote, but it burned in one. It is not lost on me. It is not lost on me at all. I've got to say. All right. Let's finish this statement. Okay. I wanted to value. Okay. Sorry. We'll get back to this. With all of that said, I still disagree that the Billet Labs video, not the situation with the return, which I've already addressed above, is an accuracy issue. It's more like I just read the room wrong. We could have retested it with perfect accuracy, but to do so properly, accounting for which sails could be installed in, none, and which radiators would have plumbed with, again, mystery, would have been impossible. Also, it didn't affect the conclusion of the video, or so I thought. I wanted to evaluate it as a product, and as a product, if I could manage to compete with the temperature of the highest end blocks on the planet, it still wouldn't make sense to buy. So from my point of view, retesting it and finding out that yes, it did in fact run cooler made no difference to the conclusion, so it didn't really make a difference. Okay, that's, oh my god, that is so, you're so Weasley. You're such a fucking weaselly little liar, dude. Can someone please inform him that he's being a weaselly little liar? If a company is making a product and they're saying, hey, this is our cooler. This is our, what is it called? I forget the name. This is the Billet Labs cooler. We only recommend it for up to 3090. Above that, you might experience like heat issues, monoblock. And then you review it and say, it's shit. I don't know, man. I don't know if that's fair. If the company is marketing itself as like the best cooling system ever for every drive ever, that's different. It was an accuracy issue. They tested a block on a GPU it wasn't meant for and acted like the results were valid. And when they knew it after the fact, they were like, but retesting with the proper GPU would cost manpower and I don't want to pay for it. So nah. Yeah, it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. Are you kidding me? Also, like if the block works great and runs at low temps, then it's a great product. Like what the fuck is he talking about? Yeah. And also not everyone has a 4090. Like not everyone, first of all, has the money to spend on a 4090 and not everyone has a 4090. Like, so to only test it on that is fucking stupid, right? Okay. Let's see. Adam and I were talking about this today. He advocated for retesting it regardless of how non-viable it was as a product at the time. I think he really expressed it well today why it mattered. It was like making a video about a supercar. It doesn't matter if no one watching will buy. They will just see it rip. I missed that, but it wasn't because I didn't care about the consumer. It was because I was so focused on how this product impacted a potential buyer. Either way, clearly my bad, but my intention was never to harm Billet Labs. I specifically called out their incredible machining skills because I wanted to see them create something with a viable market for it, and I was hoping others would appreciate the fineness of the craftsmanship, even if the product was impractical. I still hope they move forward building something else because they obviously have talent, and I've watched countless niche water cooling vendors come and go. It's an astonishingly unforgiving market. Either way, sorry that I got the community's priorities mixed up on this one and that we didn't show Billet in the best light. Our intention wasn't to hurt anyone. We wanted no one to buy it because it's an egregious waste of money no matter what temps it runs at, and we wanted Billet to make something marketable so they can, eat. With all this in mind, it saddens me how quickly the pitchforks were raised over this. It also comes across a touch hypocritical when some basic due diligence could have helped clarify much of it. I have a long history of meeting issues head on and have never been afraid to answer questions, which lands me in hot water regularly, but helps me keep in tune with my peers in the community. The only reason I can think of to not ask me is because my honest response might be inconvenient. We can test that with this post. Will the "it was a mistake, a bad one, but a mistake, and they're taking care of it" reality manage to have the same reach? Let's see if anyone actually wants to know what happens. I hope so, but it's disheartening to see how many people were willing to jump on us here. Believe it or not, I'm a real person, and so is the rest of our team. We're trying our best. And if what we were doing was easy, everyone would do it. Today sucks. Thank you for reading this. Okay, chronologically, timeline. It looks like immediately after this was the Gamer Nexus response video that like debunks half of this, but it's like 25 minutes long, and I kind of want to get into the other stuff because I don't want to lose all of our time watching just Gamer Nexus, but I do recommend everyone go watch it and find out the details of what they were lying about. And man, like, I don't know the guy. I don't know Linus, so maybe he's a cool dude, maybe he's not. I don't know. I'm also, like, in general, wary of liking people who are anti-union, which evidently is true, that he has been against his workers unionizing, which is just not great. Not good. Oh, it's within the first 5 minutes? Okay, well, if it's just within the first 5 minutes, we can watch it. So, yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Hardware News Recap of the Week. We filmed the vast majority of this episode a couple days ago, but Linus Media Group, well, specifically Linus himself, has posted a response to our video, and it's not well thought out. It's pretty disappointing, honestly. So we're going to insert a section and talk about that. Then we'll get into all the other news topics for the week. So we posted some coverage yesterday with some concerns about data accuracy, ethics, and responsibilities of Linus Media Group. Not going to recap all of that here. You should check that video out before proceeding its necessary context. Linus hastily posted a statement about 3.5 hours after our video went live. The video raised concerns again about an incredibly large amount of testing inaccuracy issues, alongside what we believe to be unethical actions and just issues with responsibility as a large outlet in general.
For the record, Linus Tech Tips has over 250 employees valued at $100 million, while Gamer Nexus has way fewer employees, not worth nearly as much, but it absolutely kills Linus Tech Tips testing accuracy. To say we're just a few people, please don't. We're doing our best is so fucked up, dude. It's so fucked. Also, 3.5 hours later, that reeks of panic. I won't read into that. Honestly, it could have been anything. It could have been anger, could have been panic, it could have been anything. But
Linus's statement, it is an unhinged, unapologetic rant where he shirks responsibility and blames others. He tries to play weird semantic games like saying, quote, "We didn't sell the product, we auctioned it," or misrepresent the timeline for when he contacted Billet Labs. He triples down on Billet Labs and says, quote, "I still disagree that the Billet Labs video is an accuracy issue. It's more like I just read the room wrong."
that's insane to say that. That's actually insane. Raziel Prime, thank you so much for the Prime sub.
Doesn't even make any sense. It's not the job of a reviewer to read the room and tell the room what it wants to hear. That is called a
sycophant.
A sycophant is a perfect word to describe it.
He also said, quote, "We could have retested it with perfect accuracy, but to do so properly, accounting for which cases it could be installed in, none, and which radiators it would be plumbed with, again, a mystery, would have been impossible, and also didn't affect the conclusion of the video, or so I thought." To be clear here, the random caps lock is not us. That's the original emphasis. I mean, we could have retested it with perfect accuracy, but to do so would have been impossible.
It's crazy. Linus Tech Tips, he did everything right and they still indicted him.
It is nonsense, and it's very difficult to engage with nonsense. I don't know what that means. And he completely ignores the enormous video-breaking errors with cooler CPU and GPU testing results and processes that sometimes wildly misrepresent the product stack. Other than the usual platitudes of "we wear our imperfection on our sleeves in the interest of ensuring that we stay accountable to you," without explaining how it happened or how they'll fix it. Look, we're going to talk about this today, but we're not going to drag this out and make a whole new standalone video about this response, because they haven't added anything of substance. The response is immature, it's blaming others, and it's irresponsible to the community they've built. But we are going to talk about some of the issues in this statement nonetheless, and then we're moving on. Let's start with Billet. This is where the story is getting a little bit twisted. We saw some comments about this confirming our concerns that people would lose track of the actual timeline. First of all, we're not going to argue the semantics about an item being sold against the will of a company versus being auctioned, and being for charity, which we already said doesn't make that better, it makes it worse, because now you're roping in an innocent third party into a very awkward situation that can potentially make them look bad by proxy. And secondly, this is actually what we said. The first time they agreed to send it back was June 30th. At LTX, Linus Media Group put the one-of-a-kind water block up for auction at its Extra Life auction event. More seriously, Linus's statement, which reads, quote, "We have already agreed to compensate Billet Labs for the cost of their prototype," uses specific language to imply that this was agreed upon prior to our video launching. Following this forum post from Linus, we reached out to Billet Labs, with whom we'd already had contact, and we asked them the following. We said Linus's comment doesn't expressly say it, but it seems to imply that this agreement was made previously. Billet Labs said no, absolutely not, no, no, no. The only mention of any money to do with the prototype was our response to them after they said they'd auctioned it. And we basically said, you know, that was an expensive prototype. They didn't want us to share the exact dollar amount. Billet continued to explain their email. They said, quote, I said, do you plan to reimburse us for this? And we heard nothing. We didn't get a response until your video. And Billet thanked us for it. We asked Billet when it had received that email.
No. Page Against the Machines, thank you so much for the 10 months. Wallaby, thank you for the 5 months. Ain't no way. Are you fucking kidding me? Hey, this is Billet Labs. We really needed that prototype back. It was really expensive. Are you planning on reimbursing us? The Linus Tech Tips response. And then to reply to the email after the video is made is so fucked up. Yeah, we're going to talk about that, Artemis. That is insane. That's crazy. Oh my God.
From Linus, and they noted it arrived about 2 to 3 hours after we published our video, which would have been around the same time that Linus posted the comment on the forums. So he wrote that email and he posted, and then said
that is a crazy timeline, by the way, to be Linus Tech Tips and you're like, fuck, you just finished watching this video. You spent a full hour watching it. And then you're like, okay, let me respond to this email. Yeah, we're going to compensate you. Okay, let me write this twit longer. So anyways, guys, we already offered to compensate them. That's crazy, dude.
Come to an agreement. But at the time he posted it, Billet hadn't responded.
You stream so early for me, but I'm so happy when I get to catch part of your stream.
Thank
Denim
you,
love.
Soft love. Thank you so much for the 2 months.
To the email. And just for the record, we have the timeline of events, so I vetted them. And Linus Media Group did, in fact, agree to send the block back on June 30th, and they agreed again later, and then they followed up to tell Billet that they would have a tracking number soon, and then it was last seen at the auction at LTX. So today was the first time that Billet had direct contact with Linus. A comment from Linus lower in the forum reads this, quote, Billet sent us a quote. I don't know or care how they arrived at the value. If they're good, I'm good. We asked them about this, and Billet emphasized to us that it had not sent Linus Media Group a quote. It noted that it had expressed a possible value of the block in frustration before our video went up, before this conversation began, after they learned that it had been auctioned previously, but that this wasn't any kind of quote or invoice. We asked Billet if it had anything further to share, and it said, he's emailed us. We haven't emailed back yet at the time of writing. We thank the community for the support. We stand by everything we've said publicly. Billet noted that they intend to email Linus back prior to sharing any further details, and they also spent a few minutes to express very sincere gratitude to the community.
That is insane. Flanking, thank you so much for the 2 months. M5 Mac, thank you for the Prime sub. Thank you, guys.
And as they don't have quite as much of a platform, I'm just conveying that to you. They were extremely grateful to the support that they've received from you all. And I do think that they felt some closure on their side. Now we get into something important. As far as Linus's belief that we should have reached out to him first, and that not doing so somehow makes the 44 minutes of reporting any less valid, and considering the fact that he said there would have been valuable context such as, quote, the fact that while we haven't sent payment yet, we've already agreed to compensate Billet Labs for the cost of their prototype, which, again, Linus emailed Billet after the video. And this Billet situation is exactly why. This sentence structure makes it appear as if Billet already agreed to some kind of resolution before the video. That's why it's our responsibility when doing proper reporting to ensure that the truth gets to viewers and that it's not misrepresented by a manufacturer. We don't have to reach out to corporations when we think there's a patterned behavior or that there may be a significant chance that they try to cover things up or prepare a pre-written response that could twist the narrative, and in this case, manipulate the audience. Linus willfully ignoring our valid criticisms of data accuracy and some of the ethical concerns, while then trying to manipulate the audience into viewing him as the victim, not just LMG. This was very, it was bizarre. This is why we don't reach out every time. I want to be very clear. We don't have to reach out.
Which, by the way, they were right to not reach out. Because reaching out, what would have that wouldn't have even done anything valuable, right? They would have just lied and then come up with like a PR response before he could get the video out.
Corporations prior to reporting on them, period. For big corporations, we don't reach out if the issue already harms consumers or if their view is irrelevant. The Walmart PC, the Alienware PC, any number of products we buy, but we don't need to reach out because the damage is being done actively. And we don't need Linus's input or permission to make that video. LMG's videos are already affecting millions of consumers.
Yeah, I gotta say I agree. I think that's almost basically everything in the response. I don't want to run out of time today before we even get to any of the other stuff. So I really want to watch the video. That's good? Okay, cool.
It's housekeeping week and a reduction in our LTT upload schedule, at least for now, while we get our house in order. But before anyone gets concerned that we're going to cut investments into the well-being of our personnel and our future capabilities, I can assure you that I've read the criticisms that we weren't willing to spend $500 to test a product, and as the one that manages the finance, I can tell you that couldn't be further from the truth. Linus made a clear and egregious judgment error regarding retesting a product he felt was impractical. That was wrong, and I've told him so. He allowed his personal feelings on the matter to cloud his judgment. And I want to stress that our organization is committed to our ongoing investments in making our content better. And we will do better as a team. Why don't I let our chief money spender take it from here?
Hi, I'm...
This video is so bad. Oh my God, Jesus Christ. Oh, they're so out of touch. Did they not realize that this doesn't come off well? Does Linus even appear in this video? Okay, he appears at the end.
Gary, head of labs. First off, we've made some mistakes. Too many. We're hoping that it's how we deal with them moving forward that will define who we are. And regardless, it's clear that we need to serve you better.
That's, oh my God. You put it exactly in words. Acid burn. It feels like I'm watching a work training video.
So our team will be spending our week publishing living documents for our testing standards and opening them up to feedback from the community and our peers in the industry, should they wish to participate. We will also task part of the team with going...
Is he showing the teleprompter clicker as well?
Going back through every video with labs data to ensure accuracy, make full corrections, and if there are any fundamental issues with the workflow design or results, pull or replace that video outright. I don't agree with every criticism that's been leveled at my team, but for my part, I need to own what we've done wrong and lay out our action plan for how to move forward. Before I do that, one point I do need to address here is that Linus misspoke when he said we retest for every video. We retest for every project. When we use the same data for our RX 7600 and RTX 4060 Ti videos, we knew in advance that these cards would release 2 days apart and designed a broad test suite that accounted for all the numbers we would need to make those two videos and ran everything at once with no BIOS or driver changes. In fairness to Linus, the project to video ratio is normally 1:1, but the devil's in the details. Now, let's talk.
You can see him looking down at the clicker and clicking the buttons. I like how even in their response video, they are doing the behavior that they were criticized for. They were literally criticized for refusing to reshoot content that was bad, and they're doing it in the response video. Oh my god, please! Like, look at
Normally
this.
1-to-1, but the devil's in the details.
To be clear, like, I don't know anything about this guy. It's possible that this is just like some guy they put up here to be like, to take the blame or to take the fault or some shit. I don't know anything about this. I'm talking about the person that's in charge of producing this video. They should have said, hey, we need you to reshoot that. Like, it's fine if there's a certain person that doesn't have experience being in front of a camera and you're like an engineer, that's fine. It's understandable. But the problem is not with him. The problem is with the people that were in charge of video production, because a good video production team would have said, we need to reshoot this sentence because you look down and we need to make sure that you're not looking down. So let's go back. Let's run it from the top. I'm not like trying to shame this guy or anything like that. I'm shaming the fact that the company saw this and did not think, maybe we should reshoot this. This feels like I'm watching BP apologize after the oil spill in the most sarcastic tone. Oh, we're sorry.
Now, let's talk about what's coming. We will release our current Mark Bench harnesses as open source items so that the community can audit the code around our test integrations. We will do a vlog-style video on Floatplane about our testing from start to finish so you can see how the sausage is actually made. We will open a new community forum post asking for transparency suggestions, and more importantly, we will follow up. We will start placing our testing project number in the credits so we are always open about the data set that was used for the benchmark results. And there is a lot more still to come, ranging from test variation percentages per workbench to each benchmark we utilized in the videos, among others. It's going to be a busy week of not making videos.
Same goes for us. I'm James, head of the writing department. We are extremely grateful for everything the lab has.
Who put the teleprompter so low? So far, this has been the most charismatic person, and the teleprompter's all the way down here. Oh my god, the recording team is so bad. Jesus Christ.
Has done and continues to do to make our jobs easier. But the actual testing is not the biggest source of our recent struggles. It's the human factor. There have been times when an internal video review caught an incorrect graph, resulting
I really have to pee, so I'm going to be right back.
in new versions of the graph being created, only for those new graphs to not be put in the video. Ah! Just about every error that has appeared in a video in the past year has directly resulted in a process change designed to prevent that specific issue from ever happening again. But this kind of problem pops up, create a new process, whack-a-mole, isn't working. We'll be using our time to take feedback from our team on all of our processes and comb through all of our pending projects for areas where we can improve as we move forward with our reduced upload schedule. You'll see some of these videos go up during our time off. We already have multiple videos that are scheduled for release, but my main message to the team is that we want to spend this time working on interdepartment communication and cleaning up our house. What we won't be doing is sanitizing things too much. We know that some of our best videos are centered around Linus and other members of the team just goofing around with tech and having fun. That is not going to stop. But others, like GPU and CPU releases, certainly require all the rigor we can muster. Those launches don't happen as often these days, so it will take some time before you see the full payoff of our continuous improvement. But it has already started happening. Not only did the community love our 4060 review, but our team found it less stressful to put out. Have we had a flawless victory? No. But since these last reviews, we've onboarded a dedicated visualization person whose full-time job it is to create graphs that are correct, digestible, and accessible. We've done serious development on our automatic specs database thing so that our visualizations pull the correct info in every time. And we'll soon be announcing the details of a new crowdsourced fact-checking system for both LTT and TechQuickie so that our content's correctness satisfies even our most discerning community members.
I'm Ed, head of our production team.
I listened to all of that because I'm wearing my earbuds in. That was fine what he said. They really should have just had one person make this really should have all been you should have just had Linus in front of this. Having this many people, I don't know why it just comes off as like fake.
We have some of the most comprehensive documentation and processes in the company, from automations to keep project information accurate, to communication procedures, to standards for how loud videos can be. Those systems have helped with the video edit side of things, but I've seen some examples where we've failed to see the forest for the trees and allowed well-edited but erroneous content to slip through the cracks. So for our part, we'll be spending our time looking at how we can improve communication to help the team address anything that seems off as soon as possible. A personal task for me will be putting the finishing touches on some cool ways we can make small edits that avoid the slapdash text on screen corrections whenever possible. As for how we catch those bugs, that's not my department, so I'm throwing it over to Nick.
Hold on. I'm mostly on the product side. LTTstore.com. What? Somebody had to say it. But
Is this really the time for a joke? Is this really the time for plugging your site as a joke? My brother in Christ.
the theme of today's video is transparency and accountability. You might not see me in video credits, but I still serve as a last line of defense in reviewing most LTT videos before they are published. I typically check for security links and inappropriate or NSFW jokes, but there are times when I catch a factual error or a weird graph that doesn't really tell the full story. To be clear, we also have checks for technical aspects from our writing team, and in some cases, the lab, but our processes for ensuring those checks happen and following up these findings haven't been perfect, and our corrections are often made quickly. So while we take this time to reflect, I'll be focused on helping build a set of guidelines for our pre-release reviews and trying to set up a system that allows our team to take a finer look at every aspect of our videos, every single time. And maybe with time, everyone here will be so aligned with our mission that my input is no longer needed, and I can focus my full attention on making little widgets that you don't need, but definitely want, like this retro-themed screwdriver.
Errors in our supporting assets like tables and graphs chip away our credibility. So continuing to improve our process issues to minimize errors will remain a top priority under my leadership. I guarantee there will be future mistakes. We are human. But next week, we'll be creating and publishing a clear policy for correction handling, and I'll be working with the community management team to be prompt and transparent with corrections that are as visible as possible. I think what happened with the Cornish mouse is a perfect example of the kind of breakdown that should never happen again. Last Friday, Linus was notified of the issue a couple hours before the wine show, where he discussed the errors of the video on short circuit and apologized unequivocally. But while we recut the video to remove the misleading information, no one closed the loop and dealt with a tone-deaf and frankly unapologetic correction in the pinned comment. Our mission is to get the information to the community, which includes having a degree of humility about our mistakes.
It's just incredible. Like it fits so perfectly.
If it makes us look less than perfect. The other side of my job as CEO is keeping the lights on, ensuring our staff is well taken care of, and putting dollars into some fun stuff, like watering and cooling a PC with a pool. And that's through sponsorships, affiliate programs, paid subscriptions, or merchandise sales. One thing that's not negotiable with me, ownership, or the business team on sponsored content is we need to maintain control of the creative. I was on a call with a potential partner recently. They asked for a cream puff piece. What's a cream puff piece? That's when they're like, how much money do we have to give you just so that you tell the story that we want? Before I can jump in and say anything, just because I'm in shock at this point in time, Nick turns over and says, no, absolutely not. I started laughing a little bit. I just said, hey, Nick, there's probably a better way to handle that, where we could just...
I wish there was a way to make a sound equivalent to question mark, question mark, question mark. I wish there was a way to say that, because huh? What? Half of that, like half of this is not even relevant to the issue. Like, I need my League of Legends ping in real life. Yeah. I need to get, wait.
Non-desk car.
Ping question mark sound. I need to get a soundboard specifically and exclusively for this. Just for that noise. Dude, you think there's one that has it spamming? Second. Oh my god. Oh. All right. Okay. I didn't hear anything though. Oh, sorry. It might have been a little too quiet. Okay. Let's go back. Let's go back to the video.
Just soften up a little bit. But the truth is, I don't disagree with them. We've had many rocky periods with sponsors where they're not happy with the content or the conclusions, and because they couldn't affect the editorial bents. This has and continues to have significant negative impacts on revenue. I think we're pretty transparent on how, where, and why we make our money. And one of our strategic pillars is to make sure that we can maintain editorial independence. This has included on multiple occasions saying goodbye and good luck to sponsors ranging from thousands of dollars a year to hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
I mean, that's kind of what you get yourself into when you decide to be a journalist, right? When you're the home improvement sound is what you're thinking of. Wait, let me see this really quickly. Stupid. I only know that sound from Curtis Connor's videos, and that's the only reason I know that sound. Oh god, he's apologizing for being too honest. This is like me at a job interview. I'm just too darn hard working and I don't put myself first. Yeah. Clear on how they make their money. I'm pretty sure they've never brought up wage theft. You've never watched Home Improvement? I've watched a lot of HGTV, but I've never heard that sound. I watched a lot of the Property Brothers. Don't want to talk about it. Don't want to. Let's not discuss it, okay? Oh, Home Improvement is a sitcom? I didn't know that. I didn't watch American TV. This is a sitcom? I'm being oppressed, okay? I'm being shamed for not engaging in white culture. Chat, you're being so fucking racist right now.
Remaining independent and doing right by the LTT community. While we were deciding if we were a good fit for each other, I was very pleased to see the integrity of the team here based on the deals that these guys have walked away from. I think one thing that we've done a poor job of, however, is publishing these standards where a community can see them. That's something I'll be improving upon.
And so will I. I'm Colton, the head of business development, which includes departments like HR, procurement.
Okay, I was told this is the most important one.
Logistics, events, and sales and marketing. Sponsorships specifically are an area where Linus has more limited oversight than he used to. And in my opinion, we haven't done a great job conveying that. It's up to my team to vet incoming sponsor requests and deal with issues that you, our viewers, have with our brand partners. One way we do that is using our LMG sponsor discussion subforum on linustechtips.com to create a dialogue between our business team and the community. It's obvious from some of the issues we're seeing that we need to be more communicative when we're actively working with brands to rectify issues. Most content creators can attest to the fact that brands sometimes take forever to respond to messages or address problems. A perfect example is Anchor not removing Linus Tech Tips from their Amazon pages, even though we've been asking to be removed since our partnership with them ended months ago. We work hard to push for accountability, but we also understand that these businesses are either large with lots of moving parts.
But you're not getting criticized for that. Like, no one is criticizing Linus Tech Tips because of some affiliate link or some shit. Like, nobody cares about that. Like, what? Yeah, everyone knows that some companies are just not going to respond in time. That's fine. Like, this is pretty common knowledge, right? But no one brought this up as a problem. If you say, hey guys, sorry, we've done our best, they're muddying the water. Yeah, I'm sure there's a fallacy name for this. But if you guys issue a statement and you're like, hey guys, sorry, we're really trying to rectify this. They just haven't responded to us. No, obviously no one is going to. Why are you trying to deflect, dude? Just, oh my God. Such a bad video.
Or small with limited resources. So things can take time, but you shouldn't be waiting in the dark. It's critical for us to get the sponsorship piece right because real talk, you guys are the boss. If you're not happy with brands we work with, you won't engage with our sponsors and suddenly we won't be able to support all the cool stuff we're currently able to do. Moving forward then, you can expect weekly updates in the subforum on issues that need addressing, and we'll also include an up-to-date list of product verticals that are off limits for our channels. We hope this will enable us to make better calls consistently from here on out, all while maintaining our long-time commitment to transparency. Finally, I want to apologize to Billet Labs for auctioning off their monoblock at LTX 2023. Our processes failed when I was selecting items to include in the charity auction, but then it was compounded because when the issue was brought
I gotta read these emails. Right. We originally said that you could keep it because we thought it would be good for you to have for future builds. It wasn't so that you could sell it, whether it's for charity or not. Then when Linus clearly didn't like it, we asked for it back and you agreed. That was a blank prototype and we're a very small company. Do you plan to reimburse us for the money it cost? You agreed to send it back and we planned our finances accordingly. This is not okay at all. Sorry, there was a communication mishap. We ended up auctioning it off in a silent auction for charity. Smiley face. The good news is that it isn't just sitting on a shelf. We just need a phone number for the shipment and we'll be sending the 3090 Ti back today. The original video didn't blur out the dollar amount, by the way. What can I ask what it was? What was it? It said 2,000 before. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is insane. Why did they even include this? Why did they even include this in the video? Oh, sorry, 2,000 pounds, excuse me. Why did they even include this? Did they think that this made them look better? They don't give a fuck about the 3090 Ti. They just said they don't give a fuck about it. They clearly only care about their prototype. They can get another 3090. And the response is, well, we'll send back the 3090. We already auctioned off the prototype. Smiley face.
Items to include in the charity auction. But then it was compounded because when the issue was brought up to me via email, even though I replied 2 hours later apologizing and offering to pay for the component, I forgot to actually include our contact in that email. So it went to our procurement team instead of Billet Labs. Side note, that same
Me when I lie. I have pulled this scam on many a professor. Okay? Don't have the paper written, didn't submit it. Oh, professor, I just realized I never sent it to you. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I sent it to Professor Jim Smith, but I spelled it Smith with not an H at the end. My bad. I'll send it immediately right now. I'm so sorry. Like, do you think it's gonna work with the internet, man? Come on, man. There's no way you think your audience is this fucking dumb. Bro. Also, even if this it was the case, this is still unbelievably unprofessional. Like, for a frame of reference, chat, okay, I'm gonna admit to being a bad noodle, but let me explain myself, okay? So I went on Food Beast a while back, and they do pay people for time and appearance and stuff, which is really cool. And I went on 2 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, and they're like, hey, like, please send us your documents and your information and the invoice so we can pay you. And I like didn't respond, and I kept forgetting to respond, and I kept forgetting. And they must have sent, God bless their souls, God bless that team. They must have sent 10 emails being like, hey, we just really want to pay you for you being on the show. We want to pay you. Please let us give you the money that we agreed to give you. You know, like, they're going out of their way to make sure that they are not conducting business poorly. You know, like, clearly that's all my bad. Like, obviously I am singing praise to Food Beast. They do a great job with the company. But that's what you're supposed to do. Not like, well, we sent an email and it got lost. How are we supposed to know? You should be following up on things. Like, I remember when I was working HR for a little bit, we were required to follow up on things every single day. So we, like, literally at the beginning of my day, even actually I was working a different job as well, and I was required to follow up every single day. I was working at like an appraisal office at one point, and people will ask for appraisals for their apartment, or not their apartment, but like their condo or their house, and then they just won't respond. It's like they're coming to us because they want to sell their property, and then you're like, hey, so when is a good time for us to come? No response. And it was my job to like follow up with these people, and people will just not respond. But it doesn't mean that you don't follow up with it. You have like a set designated person that makes sure that they follow up on everything. There's no loose ends. You know, this is very clearly a problem where it's like, oh, they still haven't responded to us. Let's send a follow up. Oh, oops, it sent to the wrong email. This happens so much in healthcare too. If you don't follow up, people will just fall through the cracks. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I'm working at a dispatch office. I'm always doing the follow-up of packages, see where they are and if they were delivered or not, if there's a problem. Yeah, exactly. You don't get to just say, like, we made an oopsie. Also, he CC'd multiple people in the office and no one saw that Billet Labs wasn't included. Yeah, I'm not buying that. Yeah.
Team, God bless them, didn't ask our event team who won the silent auction items and proceeded to email everyone asking. We don't need any of that. Certainly not for tax purposes. I clearly need to spend some of my week training the team, unless I actually get fired for real this time. Moving forward, we'll be implementing a more... Who
thought that was a good idea to put in the script?
Unless I actually get fired for real this time.
The silence is just so fucking insane.
Moving forward, we'll be implementing a more rigid process for separating items that need to go back and which ones we'll be holding on to for future testing.
This might ring a little hollow, coming from one half of the WAN Show team that brought you Trust Me Bro and the privateering incident, among others, but we need to be better about our communication. Now, I have no intention to, like, kill the silly humor or be less open with people. I don't want anything to be less fun, but we do need to be respectful and conscious of the impact of our words. We should be proud of the work that we do, but we shouldn't negatively compare ourselves to our fellow tech reviewers. When issuing corrections, we need to apologize. We need to respect people's time and their money. I said after the last round of this that you don't win by screaming loudly or dramaing hard. You win by fixing problems, improving, and becoming a hard target. We're still f***ing up a lot, and we need to own that, fix it, and move on, not be defensive or shirk blame. That being said, I'm not really on the production side of things these days. What my teams and I are working hard on is to support the other teams in other ways. Reintegrating it to LMG has been somewhat terrifying. One of my team's jobs is to take over management of the infrastructure, and while I have brought an experienced team member into the fold, it needs a lot of work. So far, we've mostly just been focused on documenting what we even have, and most of our initial steps beyond that will be improving overall stability, rather than flashy video-worthy projects. Any production interruptions due to shoddy infrastructure add additional burden to the other teams, and our goal is 6 nines. We will also continue to
Gosh.
Osco, thank you so much for the 3 months. Why would you do this? Why would you put video? Why would you put these type of jokes in your video? Foreshadowing is a narrative tool.
maintain and develop our inventory system, which, with better processes, should be able to help keep things like Billet's prototype from being mishandled, misplaced, and misused in the future. And the foundational work we're doing on reliable data management and storage should enable teams like the editors and the engineering folks in the lab to move faster and more confidently with lower risk of errors, thanks to new tools like our specs database. Among my other unmentioned and unrelated responsibilities is keeping Linus from driving off various cliffs, which I have failed at a number of times.
And let's face it, he's gonna fail again. Hey, it's me. I'm Chief Vision Officer now, but realistically, I'm not gonna be able to hide behind my recent demotion here. I was the one at the head of the company for each and every mistake that our community has rightly brought to our attention. And once again, I made things worse by allowing myself to respond emotionally.
I have to say, playing the golden retriever after you made like one of the rudest comments on Reddit is crazy. It's crazy to play like victim there. Be like, you guys know me, I'm always messing up. Oopsies. I'm just such a dummy. I'm such a dum-dum. You guys know. Ugh. No, you're a fucking CEO, dude. Like, come on, man. Come on. Fucking Christ. It wasn't even Reddit. It was their own website forum. Oh, you're right. It was their website forum. It just got reposted to Reddit. You're right. Also, chat, to be clear, I'm pretty sure that the bots skipped over the ad read. There was an ad read here. And also, this video was originally monetized. That's not activated account. Thank you for the 2 gift subs. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Honestly, really hard when people take an internal process error and then they run that all the way to Linus is a thief and wants to auction someone else's intellectual property to the highest bidder, or accuses me of trying to brush something under the rug just because I do think it's important to get all the details before declaring me to be a low-down liar, straight-up piece of shit. We were slow shipping back the GPU that Billet Labs sent us. There's no way around it. That's our bad. But the delay in communication, the one that prompted the post that you guys just saw, it was less than 2 business days. The second that I was made aware of the situation on the 14th, I emailed Billet Labs and I explained what happened. I even included Colton's attempt at apologizing and offering, no questions asked, full compensation for their stated value of the product, which happened on the 10th, before we were under any pressure to do so and without Colton even bothering to check with me or Yvonne before just saying, go for it. He knows.
Bro, who do you think you're fooling, man? Like, genuinely, who do you think you're fooling? If this was true, you would have included it in your original post.
knows that our internal policy is to do the right thing. So he tried, bless him. I guess his job is safe for another day. And I'm sorry, I guess I've actually gotten a little bit emotional here again, so.
Bro, no. Bro, like, no. Bro, come on, man. Come on. No, dude. You're gonna try and ult in your video and you're gonna do it this poorly? Oh my god. This video is way too scripted for you to pull this. Are you kidding me? We have to run it back.
And I'm sorry, I guess I've actually gotten a little bit emotional here again, so.
You can literally see him reading it off the teleprompter. Thank you, Umbra. You can see him reading it.
I'm going to stop there because whatever's being said about me and whatever's being said about the team should never have allowed my feelings to distract from any valid criticism of our work. My decision, for example, to not bother retesting the monoblock, that was obviously wrong, and my lame response on the forum
Attenzione,
was a
pickpocket
huge
Italian
and unnecessary
hands.
blunder. I owe you guys better, and I'm sorry. For my part, first, I'm going to be working through the other members of the exec team for any crisis communication moving forward. And second, I'm going to spend my week working with the other teams to develop a system of processes that will help our company fulfill my vision of being a world-class tech media organization. I'm also going to be spending my week just refocusing, guys, on what matters most, which is bringing you guys the best damn content that we can make. It's been over 10 years. Good Lord, it's been almost 15. But I still love tech. I love my team, and even though our relationship's a little rocky right now, I love this community and everything that it stands for. None of that has changed, and none of it is going to.
During my interview, one line from Linus that stood out to me was, I need somebody to come in who I know will be respectful of my life's work. That's when the gravity of what he was asking for dawned on me for the first time. I'm by no means influencer or social media guy, but suddenly I am accountable not only to Linus and Yvonne and the entire staff at LMG, but most importantly, to the entire LMG audience. I'm fortunate to be inheriting a wonderful team that is passionate and has a ton of energy who shares the same goal. We celebrate our wins together, and when we make mistakes, we also share the responsibility. I'll be coaching the team on the kinds of deep state corporate stuff that I think I'm reasonably good at.
Okay.
Budgeting.
I think I'm good. I think I'm good on this.
Internal conversations over the coming weeks, but instead I'm talking to you about it during this on-the-job experience.
Deep
of what
state.
It's like to work.
Wait a minute.
Linus really said I'm gonna sit my white ass down and listen cackle.
Same thing, Fran. Thank you so much for the emails.
At a YouTube company. For all our awards, the team has worked hard to build up
brother.
trust in the community and share the joy and the passion that we all have for tech. So I do not take for granted the responsibility and stewardship that comes along with this position. And I welcome continued constructive feedback. Thank you all for holding us accountable. I feel ready for the challenge and ready for this message from our sponsor.
Just kidding. Again.
Dies of cringe. Dies of cringe. Okay. So immediately after this video, well, maybe not immediately after, but after this video was posted, someone by the name of Madison came out to speak about her experience working with and for Linus Tech Tips. And I have the full thread here, so we can go through and read it. To stop the speculations and DMs that I'm receiving, I chose to quit my role at Linus Tech Tips because It and the working environment I was facing were ruining my mental health. The number of daily items the social media role at the time was expected to fill was incredibly high. I was expected to post 3 tweets, 2 Instagram posts, and 2 TikToks minimum per day. I was also expected to plan, film, edit, and post 2 float plane exclusives per week. This included wrangling people to be in them when they were also all struggling to get their work done. I was also expected to manage, plan, come up with, execute, and get approval for, and schedule out all the sponsored content on socials, not including YouTube, all while being told not to complain because my job was the fun job. I cannot speak on what it's like now, but they have an entire team working on seemingly what I was expected to accomplish alone. Man, okay, I'm just gonna say, as someone who's been in this position, it fucking sucks. Genuinely, as someone who's gotten like completely fucked over by employers, like there is no emotion worse than realizing that your employer doesn't give a fuck about you or your labor, and that they're too dumb to realize that you are such an asset you deserve to be compensated like as such. I worked at one company where I did like fucking everything, like literally everything. And I told my employer, I was like, hey, like I want like a raise. And they were like, no, we just don't really have it in the budget right now to give you a raise. And I was like, oh, okay, well then I'm putting my 2 weeks notice in. And they were like, oh, are you sure? Are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I just feel like I'm working too many hours for poor pay. And it's like, okay, well, can we get you to train someone? Can we get you to train someone? And I waited 2 weeks and they still couldn't find anyone. And I was like, and I feel so bad because like I had 2 bosses. I had like the main boss and then the direct boss. And the direct boss was actually like a nice guy. Like I felt bad because I kind of fucked him over because basically everything that I was doing was now his responsibility. And I was doing a lot. Like I was working completely fully for like 10 hours a day straight. It was so bad. Like I was so overworked because I was also going to school at the time. I was so overworked that during my lunch break, I would go to like the nearby park and I would go and nap for 30 minutes and then I would go back to work. Like I was exhausted. I was so tired all the time. And so your direct boss should have fought harder for you. Yeah. And like my direct boss was like, we still haven't like found anyone. Like, is there any way that you can stay a little bit longer? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I just can't work this job anymore. Like I can't, I'm not interested in working this many hours for this pay. It's just not. And it's just, if you don't do that shit, they will exploit you indefinitely. Literally, they will just exploit you indefinitely. And that's their fault. Like, that's not on me, okay? I asked for more pay for work that you would have had to hire 5 people for what I was doing, okay? So that's on them. That's on them. Yeah, I was the first full-time hire for a company. We grew to 5 people. When I quit because of being overworked, they replaced me with 3 more people. I was making $45K there, running half the company. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Chat, can I ask you guys a question? Why is it that all these LOL users are so cringe? "3 tweets a day? What is this, North Korea? Must be a slow day in reaction sphere." My brother on Christ, you've been on Twitch for almost a decade and you're still this annoying and don't know how to use a single BTTV emote? Please go reevaluate your life. Okay, we can return to the video. Or no, not to the video, to the twit longer. All right. All right. Where were we? Okay. I misspoke originally when I said I had signed an NDA. I thought the employee handbook acted as one. I'm not a lawyer. I never publicly made any statements regarding my time there because I feared even more backlash from a community that was already attacking, defaming, and sending me death threats. I also feared for my future in this career, given that LTT is large and has industry connections. My time at this company brought my mental health to an all-time low. You could ask anyone who was around me during my employment and they would confirm it. I would not have recommended anyone I knew to work there, especially with my experiences as a woman in the office. I was constantly belittled by certain members of upper management. My work was called dog shit. I was called incompetent. When I would reach out to managers to try and help them with these situations, I would be told to put on my big curl pants and be more assertive. It doesn't matter if you think I am or am not stupid. This behavior is not appropriate. And that is correct. So people will always come out of the woodworks, generally sexist pieces of shit, but like also losers as well, like devil's advocate type of people will come out when someone pulls out like a twit longer like this and they'll be like, well, maybe your work was dog shit. Well, maybe you were incompetent. Here's the thing. When you work in an office, the basic requirement should be that your boss doesn't fucking berate you and try to cause you psychological damage. There are ways that people in offices are supposed to communicate with their employees and with their coworkers. And that is not the way that you do it. You don't tell your worker, yeah, this work is dog shit. You say, hey, we need you to change this. Like, this is wrong. This is not right. Please rework this stuff. And that's about it. Let us know if you need anything. You know what I mean? You don't tell someone, yeah, you're fucking dog shit and incompetent. That's not how you treat a worker. That's not how you should ever be treating a worker. And I don't know why people come to the defense of employers that don't give a fuck about employees. Like, why? Like, you know what I mean? Madison was a huge fan of the channel too before working at LTT. She was a winner in a contest to build a PC with Linus. The video was so funny that they ended up hiring her. She was a fan favorite. Also, you shouldn't treat people that way in general. I mean, I agree. Okay, where were we at? After enough complaints from me, I was pulled into a meeting. In that meeting, the writer's room was pointed to and I was asked, do you think any of these people would have a hard time getting a job? I said no. Keep in mind that this was about a month into working there. I was then pointed to and asked, what about you? I was scared and I remember asking, are you going to fire me? I was laughed at and told to stop being so pessimistic, as if my job and ability hadn't just been vaguely threatened. I was then asked to agree to a verbal, no drama contract. The verbal part was important. Sorry, the verbal part is important. In this moment, I realized I was no longer considered part of the team. I was now seen as a threat because I was putting up a fuss when I believed I was being treated unfairly and inappropriately. This verbal agreement wasn't right. It was a behind-the-scenes warning with no record. A warning that came shortly after I had come forward, stating that I had been inappropriately grabbed multiple times in the office amongst other issues. I was barred from being in videos. So when you ask what happened, why wasn't she in more content, this is why. There is a perplexing fear that people will leave LTT and start their own thing if given a platform. So if that platform could threaten negative things coming out about your company or you'd probably want to squash it. In my experience, there is a belief that everything you accomplish, no matter how much it is created by your own effort, is actually due to Linus giving you a platform. This is what I was told when I moved from Arizona to Vancouver to take this job. After it was publicly announced by Linus that he was hiring me, without my knowledge or consent to that situation, and also before I was even offered the job or shown the salary, I agreed and I signed the employment contract. This company's full of arrogant male nerds was awful for women. I'm shocked. Yeah. Oh, what a surprise. What a shocking surprise. The tech industry is sexist. Like, well, it's crazy. What? You don't say. You don't say. I had asked and been told during my interviews that I would be allowed to monetize my YouTube channel and be allowed to join Floatplane in exchange for shutting down my Patreon. Once I moved, I was presented with an entirely new contract and handbook that I was told that I was not told existed. It detailed that I was given incorrect information and would actually have to make changes to my plans if I wanted to continue being employed at LTT. This was after I had moved entire countries, given up my visa status, and I couldn't just go back. Some corrections were made for, Some corrections were made as apologies for the miscommunication, but I was still upset. I later went to Linus about this and stated that the effort to remediate the situation wasn't sitting right with me. He told me perhaps I should change my priorities. He was, in this instance, referring to the fact that my brother had suddenly passed away not even a week before I moved for this job, and that perhaps I should just ignore that I had been misled because that was more important. I cannot tell you how upset I felt in this moment. The opportunities LTT presented to me were nothing in comparison to the day-to-day issues I faced. It did not matter if I spoke to someone with evidence of an abuse of power or inappropriate workplace behavior. It was considered tattletaling. I was actually called a tattletale. I was told I was bossy when I was trying to be assertive, like I was asked to do. I was told I was arguing when I tried to discuss my point of view. I was told to calm my tits and stop being a bitch, and other comments to similar effects. There were numerous instances of misinformation being given to me purposefully to negatively impact my work. I only know this because my coworkers would tell me that they overheard the actual information I should have been given. It felt like a horrible teenage drama. Work from home was a whole issue. It took 3 minutes to answer a personal email. You could get in trouble. It happened to me. Sorry, if you took 3 minutes to answer a personal email, you could get in trouble. There's a system of micromanaging and a level of distrust because the amount of content they have to push out daily is so insane, no one gets a break. I remember getting told off for taking my sick days, as in the days that you're entitled to. This no days off grind set culminated in the moment I realized I had to leave. I purposefully cut my leg open so badly that I would have to go to the ER to get it stapled back together. It was genuinely the only way in my mind to take a day off without being harassed for a reason why. I had spoken to managers about how I was struggling and how the workload was too much for one person, but I was belittled and told, "You just have bad time management skills." There are so many instances that led up to that moment. Some of them I have replayed over and over, asking myself, what did I do wrong? What could I have changed? How could I have changed the situation? But I don't think that I could have. I was not treated fairly, and in the moment, I couldn't even see that because I was told I was the problem by people I had looked up to for years. I had coworkers come to me saying, "I didn't like how you were treated. I'm glad you got out." And only then did I realize it wasn't me. I haven't shared any of this besides with my closest friends and family because I couldn't at the time take any more hits to my mental health. I couldn't deal with how small and worthless the job made me feel, all to push out some mediocre shit posts. I'm still scared shitless of what the response will be since I'm a woman and I have already been called dramatic. I'm not stating what happened to me because I'm seeking clout. I'm stating it because it's been eating away at me for 2 years. There are genuinely amazing, compassionate, and incredibly intelligent people who work at this company and are driven to share the cool tech that they love. It sucks that an ego and bottom line are slowly destroying some of them and hurting the entire reputation of the company. I didn't ever want to say anything for fear of hurting those people and their employment, but at this point I'm hurting myself keeping all this in while also being constantly bombarded with questions about LTT and jokes being made at my expense. Important information is that multiple employees, former and current, have liked her tweet and still follow her now. Yeah. And also, I have to say something really quickly, chat. I believe it. A company exploiting its workers that's explicitly anti-union? Shocking. You know? Like, it's so commonplace. Probably almost every single person in here has experienced it, that it's not surprising at all that this would be the case. I mean, for fuck's sake, like, look no further than the Activision Blizzard lawsuit. The sexual misconduct at the workplace. It was insane. I'm not surprised at all that if you put together a bunch of fucking, for lack of better words, okay. Let me, okay, I don't want to be mean. But I'm not surprised that a male-dominated tech space is sexist. I'm just not shocked at all. Okay? I'm not shocked at all. Obviously, not every single person at the company is going to be a piece of shit, but there are going to be enough people that are, that it makes it unbearable to work there. This also accurately describes what I've seen in the tech industry going back 20 years. It passes the smell test. Yeah, I so far have not seen a single thing here that has made me think, is this accurate? Like, everything she said is like not surprising at all. Okay, where were we? Wait, I'm sorry. Someone linked a post.